It was already past 10 when Michael finally stepped out of his office building. The night air was sharp, biting against his skin, but it did nothing to cool the heat of anxiety burning in his chest. He had tried. He truly had. He had planned to leave early, to pick Emmery up from the university himself. But at the last moment, foreign clients had demanded an emergency meeting. He couldn't refuse. He had stayed back, nodding through presentations, pretending to focus while his thoughts were miles away, standing under a dim streetlight at the university's back gate, with Emmery, alone. Yesterday's conversation echoed in his mind, each word sharpening his unease. On top of that, the private investigator he had hired was supposed to report back by 9 p.m. There had been no call, no message, nothing. Nothing was going his way. As soon as the meeting ended, Michael began calling Emmery. At first, the line was busy. That gave him a small, fragile comfort. At least the phone was on. But then it switched to a mechanical voice. Switched off. His grip tightened on the steering wheel as he accelerated. Halfway to university, his phone rang. Sammy. Relief flickered for a second, until he answered. Michael? Michael. He's something. Sammy's voice was broken, strangled by sobs. A cold wave rushed through Michael's body. Sammy, please calm down. I cannot understand anything. Michael said, worried. There was silence on the other end, a few seconds that felt like eternity. Then, Michael, something happened to Emmery. We were talking on the phone. Then a loud sound was heard, and after a few seconds, Emmery made some weird sound. And then the call got out. I have been trying to call him, but it is showing switched off. Michael, something must have happened. The world seemed to tilt. Sammy, calm down. I am on my way. Let me reach his university. Maybe his phone battery is down. His voice sounded steady. He didn't know how, but inside, dread coiled tighter. After cutting the call, he pressed harder on the accelerator. Please let him be fine. Please let him be fine. He chanted in his head the entire way. When he reached the university's back gate, the street was eerily quiet. Too quiet. No Emmery. He rushed to the guard. Have you seen the person who waits here every day for his ride? Michael asked, his voice strained. The one you picked up yesterday? The guard clarified. Yes. Where is he? Where did he go? I thought he went back home. He was waiting here. But suddenly I heard a sound from inside and went to check it. When I came back, he was not here. So I assumed he must have gone back home. Michael's stomach dropped. If only I had come early. Headlights cut through the darkness. Another car stopped abruptly. Sammy and John jumped out. Michael, where's Emmery? Sammy asked immediately. Before he could respond, she stepped on something. She froze, then bent down and picked it up. It is Emmery's phone, right? John asked quietly. The phone was crushed. Something inside all three of them shattered with it. John's eyes scanned the area. There are cameras. He rushed to the guard station, Michael and Sammy right behind him. There are many cameras here. Show us the recorded footage from after 10 p.m. John demanded. The guard, sensing the urgency, pulled up the footage. What they saw stole the air from their lungs. A figure approached from behind. Strong arms restrained Emmery. A cloth was suddenly pressed tightly over his nose and mouth. Emmery collapsing. The phone smashed deliberately. His unconscious body dragged into a car. Sammy covered her mouth. John's fist clenched. Michael's gaze froze on the screen. The kidnapper turned slightly. A scar above his eyebrow. Michael's breath hitched. Oh no, not him. Both Sammy and John looked at him. Do you recognize the guy? Sammy asked, do you remember when Emmery was in first year, there was a senior from his department who used to misbehave with omegas? Sammy's eyes widened. I think so. Is it the man whom Emmery had slapped for misbehaving and demeaning him and his friend in front of everyone? And as revenge, they shared deep fakes about him and even tried to harass him. Michael nodded grimly. But how do you know about it? You were not here. Emmery didn't even share it with us until everything was over. Michael's eyes shifted to John. John scratched his head. My friends were there in that department, and I had asked them to take care of Emmery and let me know if he faces any issues on Michael's order. Sammy crossed her arms. What else have you done, Michael, without Emmery knowing? I took care of the situation. I hired an investigator who reported that they had not only physically and verbally harassed Omegas, but were also involved in blackmailing and extortion. The evidence collected was sent to the police, and they were caught. He was sentenced to 5 years, but I am not aware when he got out. Silence. What do we do now? John asked. Emmery's phone is here. We can't track him. Michael swallowed. The necklace I gave Emmery has GPS, but it is not on. Sammy stiffened. If you gave a necklace with a GPS tracker without switching it on, then what is the use of it? John asked, because it's not required every day. I didn't gift it to him to keep track of his whereabouts. I gave it to use it in need. He just has to switch it on the days he is in trouble, and I would go running to him. He and I had agreed on that. Once the GPS is on, it sends me a signal. I would understand he needs me. Sammy's anger softened. John suddenly straightened. Michael, we saw in the video, Emmery is unconscious, right? Michael nodded. That means he is sleeping. Use your power to wake him up and tell him to switch on the GPS. Hope flickered. Let me try. Michael closed his eyes, reaching through the bond that tied their souls together. Darkness. Cold. Love. Wake up. Please wake up. The voice echoed in Emmery's dream. He struggled. Everything felt heavy. Love. Please open your eyes. I need you to switch on the GPS in your necklace. I need to come to you. Michael. That voice alone was enough to fight through the fog. Emmery forced his eyes open. He was tied to a pole inside a dilapidated house. Dust, broken walls, the smell of damp decay. Panic surged, but he remembered the necklace. He tried to free his hands. The rope bit into his skin. No use. Footsteps. Voices approaching. He lowered his head, stretching desperately. His chin brushed metal. One tap. Not enough. He bowed further and tapped twice. Click. The signal was sent. The door creaked open. Look who is finally awake. Josh. And beside him, James. Little Omega has grown up so much, Josh. Josh and James. Why are you doing this? Let me go. Emmery's voice was steady, despite the terror clawing inside him. Still trying to act fearless, Emmery. Because of you, our life is spoiled. I did nothing. It's all your fault. You did nothing wrong? Ha! Because of you and your boyfriend, we had to go to jail. My boyfriend? Yes, your boyfriend, Michael. He hired a private investigator, collected evidence against us, and sent us to jail. Do you know how much we had to suffer? We were rusticated from university, and our family have thrown us out while we both are suffering. You're enjoying your life with your boyfriend. James untied his legs and forced him into a chair. Josh pulled out a knife. The blade sliced across Emmery's arm. White-hot pain shot through him. He refused to scream. Josh raised the knife again. Just then sirens were heard. James's face twisted in rage. He grabbed the knife and plunged it into Emmery's stomach. The door burst open. Police flooded in. Josh and James tried to escape, but were caught instantly behind the officers. Michael, he ran forward and gathered Emmery into his arms. Please stay with me. Emmery's vision blurred, but he smiled faintly. Michael, you came. Emmery whispered softly. At the hospital, time became meaningless. Emmery was rushed into surgery. Michael collapsed to his knees outside the operating room. His shoulders shook. His mother stroked his hair. Mom, I was unable to support him. It's all because of me. Emmery's father pulled him into a tight embrace. Michael is all right. It is not your fault. But Michael knew the truth in his heart. If he had arrived earlier, if he had been there, if he had protected him better. The doors finally opened. Doctor came out and said, "He is fine now, out of danger, but due to trauma, he might take time to wake up. He needs plenty of rest as well." Relief washed over everyone, but Michael felt no peace. That night, unable to bear the weight of his guilt, he stepped out of the hospital into the cold darkness. He leaned against the wall, staring at the sky. "I failed you," he whispered to the silent night.